Hey, Timilore Toby. So, just to give you a brief background, a brief history. Years ago, when you were born, Timmy, I decided that I was going to put together little notes for you so that as you grew older, I'll give you these notes, notes, words of wisdom, something like that, anyways. So I wrote them down, but I think eventually I did not keep up with them and I lost those notes. 5 years, fast forward, Toby, you were born, and I decided I was going to resurrect this idea. But again, unfortunately, I didn't keep these notes. And these notes at this point were now on one of my phones, or the phone I had at that time. And I started keeping the notes, but this was about over a decade ago and 5 or 6 phones ago. So I don't know where they are. So this time around, I made the decision I'm going to put these notes down on video and upload them. That way, I will not lose them. Two things I learned though was that I was not good at taking down notes and keeping them. This time, I'm going to do it on video. I'm not sure how good I am on video, but I think I have a little bit more practice on video than writing anyway. So I'm going to keep it in this format for now. The first thing I want to talk to you about, and I think it's very important, is the choices, really. You know, I'm sure you've heard me say this, but one of the greatest gifts I believe God has given to us as human beings is the ability to choose, is that ability to make choices, to reason, to be creative, but mostly to make choices. And I think it's the greatest gift that God has given to us, or perhaps the greatest gift that we inherited from God. You know, when God says, let us create man in our own image, in our own likeness, I think that ability to choose is something we inherited from God. God has made us sovereign. God has given us the ability to choose what we want to do. A case in point, when God created Adam, God put Adam in the garden and told Adam, of all the trees, plants, everything in this garden is yours to eat. However, do not eat of this particular tree. And you know how that story goes. God could have stopped Adam from eating that tree or eating from that tree in a few ways. First, he could have placed angels on guard to prevent Adam from going to that tree. He could have removed Adam from the vicinity of the tree, or vice versa, remove the tree from Adam's immediate vicinity. But God did not do that because God was not going to limit Adam's choices. That's the same thing God does for us. God does not do things that will limit our choices. He gives us the free rein to reason, to think, and to make the necessary choices. And so when you begin to tamper with other people's choices, that becomes a problem. And so if you know who God is, being able to make choices as human beings is very important. We're not just robots that he can control or he wants to control. He has given us a mind, or given us minds of our own. But here's the thing about choices that you have to understand. When you make a choice, there are 3 possible results and a combination of those 3 results. The first thing is, depending on the choice you make, may result in a repercussion or repercussions. The second one is a reward or rewards. And the third one is responsibility or responsibilities. So each choice you make will either result in a repercussion, a responsibility, a reward, or the combination of 2 or all 3. So when you make a choice and the result is a reward, what the reward does essentially, or what makes it a reward really, is the fact that many options are now open to you, which now increases your choices. So for instance, you make a choice, you make more money. Because of that money, you are able to buy additional things, go on more vacations. So your reward actually gives you more options, and more options, more choices. Repercussions or repercussion essentially means that your options are reduced and hence your choices are limited. For instance, if you make a choice and you're incarcerated, what then happens is your options are greatly reduced and your choices are also greatly reduced and almost zero. Responsibility, however, is, I think, the highest level that we should aspire to. So, of the three, reward, repercussions, and responsibility, the most important is responsibility, because responsibility at this point is no longer about you, but really about others. And you remember when Jesus was asked what is the greatest commandment in the Bible, Jesus said, love your God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul. And the second one is like the first, love your neighbor as yourself. And this is really the basis of what responsibility is. When you make choices that lead to responsibilities, what is essentially happening is you are now in a place where you make choices and decisions on behalf of others. And this becomes a very, very important thing, because you now have to make decisions that may either lead to a reward for the people you're responsible for or repercussions for the people you're responsible for. And while you may think about this and say, hey, you know what, I don't want to take on, I don't want to make choices that will make me responsible or give me responsibilities. The important thing is this is one of the things God has called us to do. So first of all, if you're going to make choices, think about them carefully and make sure, first of all, that you make choices that lead to responsibilities, not just for rewards, or, well, hopefully you won't go for choices that would lead to repercussions. But always choose responsibility over reward. And once you have responsibilities, always lean in on God to help you to make the right decisions, because at this point, it's no longer about you, but it's about others. And finally, don't try and force people to follow you, and don't try and lead people by curtailing their choices or manipulating the options before them. I would say borrow a book from what God did when He sent Jesus Christ. What He simply did is He went after our hearts, and because of that, we choose Him. I surrender my choices to God because of what He has done for me, and that's because He has won my heart. And so here's a nugget. If you want people to choose you, if you want people to follow you, win their hearts. After you've won their hearts, they'll choose you. It's that simple. Win their hearts and they'll choose you. All right? So I'll talk to you boys later, and take care.